The Four Secret Laws of Supreme Power, A Chronicle of Domination, and the Night. In the courts of high sovereignty, where the light of fame doth fiercely burn, behold the cardinal rule, thou shalt never eclipse the sun. The leader, the master of the domain, must feel himself the very axis of the universe. Their ego is fragile as the dewdrop, and envy is the fiercest flame that can ignite within the breast of a great man. When you seek to display thy gifts, to vaunt thy brilliance, or to surpass them in any skill, be it sharp intellect or magnificent presence, you do not impress. You sow the seeds of primordial fear and deep-seated insecurity. The highest wisdom of the vassal is the art of self-diminishment. Learn the craft of the shadow. Exist only when illumined by the master's own radiance. Your task is not to shine, but to amplify their illumination. Skillfully foster in those who hold thy destiny a comfortable sense of their own superiority. Let them believe that the brightest thoughts, the most ringing successes, are the fruits of their divine guidance, even should the truth be otherwise. Play the part of the devoted aide, the loyal servant, a keen instrument in the hands of the great artisan. At times, even accept the need to obscure true talent, willingly adopting a minor lapse, an artificial flaw, so that thy master may find space to demonstrate his wisdom and his absolute perfection. If you can make those above feel they are more genius than you, more astute than you, and more powerful than you in their own endeavors, then shall the fire of your own power be fed in the darkness. That is the path to the most unassailable peaks, avoiding the arrows of jealousy and retribution. He who shines too brightly shall be consumed. He who knows how to hide shall survive and inherit the throne. Engrave upon thy heart the ruthless law of men. Place not thy full faith in thy friends. Learn instead to harness thine enemies. Friends, those who share the wine and the jest, are the invisible dagger most ready to pierce your heart. The comfortable lull of friendship breeds an innate envy when you rise above them, and this spite is more easily incited than any other motivation. They are privy to all your weaknesses, your deepest secrets, rendering them the most perilous betrayers. Furthermore, they grow spoiled, demanding privileges and becoming presumptuous as your power waxes. Conversely, the former enemy is a rich mine of enduring loyalty. One who was an adversary, once received and granted the saving grace of your favor, shall feel a vast debt and a burning incentive to prove his worth. He must strive doubly hard compared to the comfortable friend. His natural vigilance toward you shall be transmuted into obedience and vigilance toward your new foes. The gravest threat to the stability of your power always issues forth from those you trust, not from those who openly oppose you. If thy political arena boasts no enemies, seek shrewdly to create them. A strong, controlled opponent strengthens the unity of your faction, creates a common objective, and, most critically, helps you discern which loyalty is bought by fear and debt, and which betrayal is nurtured by envy. The supreme strategy is the unseen strategy. Conceal thy deepest machinations, keeping all men forever off balance amidst confusion and doubt. Power flourishes within the shadows of uncertainty. If your enemies, or even your allies, cannot perceive the ultimate purpose behind your actions, they cannot ready any defense. They shall be trapped in continuous conjecture, wasting their energy and focus in vain. Employ the strategy of delay. Introduce seemingly meaningless actions, ambiguous statements, and misdirection maneuvers that lose them in a labyrinth of false analysis. You must generate a mental fog, dense and enveloping, shrouding your true objective. Let them fixate upon the inconsequential details, the minor falsehoods, or the staged secondary goals. By leading them far enough down the wrong path, by drowning them in enough smoke of uncertainty, you shall achieve absolute surprise when they finally perceive the true nature of your intent. When the mists dissipate, it shall be far too late for them to react. Concealment is not merely defensive. It is the fiercest offensive weapon, causing the adversary to weaken himself through his own bewilderment and paralysis. Become as elusive as the underground stream, silently flowing toward the ocean, whose true direction no man knows until it is merged with the eternal sea. The word is a two-edged sword, easily wounding its own master. Always speak less than is necessary. When you strive to impress all men with eloquence and flowery rhetoric, every word poured forth diminishes your rarity and your value. The easy superficiality of speech makes you commonplace, stripping bare your thoughts and emotions, and, most critically, reducing your control over the situation. Power speaks little, power listens and condenses. The truly authoritative impress and subdue the opponent through restraint. Their silence carries immense weight, a contrived profundity that others must fill with their own conjecture. Like the ancient Sphinx, your mystery lies in your constant withholding of the greater part of the truth. Even when a profound and brilliant statement is yours, render it vague, open, and enigmatic. This not only creates an aura of great depth, but allows you to easily deny or alter its meaning when necessity demands. Speaking little is a superb defensive strategy. The more you speak, the greater the chance of an idiotic slip, of exposing a precious secret, or of making a promise you cannot honor. Let silence envelop you like a coat of iron armor. It not only protects you from folly, but makes the adversary anxious, forcing them to speak more to fill the void, and thereby revealing the very information you seek. Use words sparingly, like precious gold coins. Each time you break your silence, it must be an anticipated event, carrying the weight of judgment, and not the meaningless din of the multitude. Yet, in the tumultuous realm of man, a sphere roiling with ceaseless peril and endless strife, power is not merely the crown fixed upon the brow, but the sublime art of manipulating the human mind. The following 4 laws are the pillars of absolute dominion, the scripture that the plotter must etch upon the bone of his existence, transforming them into his own flesh and breath. The 5th law: defend your reputation as your final breath. Reputation is not merely a shadow, it is the soul of power. Success in every scheme hangs upon this invisible shield. By its sheer force, you may compel fear and submission without ever drawing the sword. The awe commanded by repute alone is potent enough to shake an entire kingdom. Expansion. 1. The impregnable fortress. Build your repute as a flawless citadel of steel. Live in a state of highest vigilance, scrutinizing even the smallest rumor. Cracks in honor are like breaches in a dam. Once they appear, the flood of doubt will rush forth and swallow your entire enterprise. You must eradicate all seeds of attack before they may take root. 2. The art of psychological warfare. Conversely, learn to use reputation as a honed weapon against your rivals. When seeking the destruction of a foe, do not waste energy in direct combat. Seek the breach in their own reputation. Sow seeds of scandal and suspicion in the public mind, that they may grow into great trees of contempt. When the public has turned, stand back, keep your hands clean, and let societal scorn execute the enemy upon the scaffold. The victor is he who controls the blade of public opinion, not the one who wields the dagger of murder. The 6th law: crave attention at any price. Never dissolve into invisibility. All things are judged by appearance and presentation. That which the world sees not shall not be counted, regardless of its noble internal worth. The cardinal sin in the game of power is obscurity. You must refuse to be buried in the dust of oblivion and resist being mixed into the common herd. Expansion. 1. The position of the blazing star, stand apart, shining brilliantly and boldly. By all means, transform yourself into a focal point, a magnet drawing every eye. A true ruler cannot be a ghost. Forge your own aura by demonstrating a grandeur that surpasses, a demeanor more colorful, and a mystery more elusive than the pale, timid, and monotonous masses. 2. The creation of drama and mystery. Never allow others to believe they fully understand you. Maintain a necessary strangeness, sometimes shocking, sometimes provocative. You must stage dramatic performances, ensuring your presence is always an astonishing event, not a tedious repetition. Create myths of yourself, fables of your origin or inexplicable achievements. When you stand as a beacon upon the mountain peak, all vessels will steer toward you, forever bound by the enchantment of that light. The seventh law: command others to till the hard earth for you, but always reap the glory. The intellect, knowledge, and labor of others are an infinite resource. Employ them to advance your own grand enterprise. This is not merely a tactic to conserve your own time and precious vitality, but a means to construct a godlike aura of supreme efficiency and unnatural speed. Expansion 1. The art of false effortlessness. The station of the sovereign must not be stained by petty tasks or excessive personal exertion. When you merely issue the command, and all things are quickly completed with superior quality, men will believe your power is boundless, requiring no sweat. You shall effortlessly gain the repute of having transcendent vision and unparalleled executive ability. 2. Use and forget. Regard your collaborators and those who execute the labor your instruments as stepping stones onto the stage of glory. Never perform the work yourself that another can achieve for you. When victory is secured and the fruits are gathered, those who contributed intellect or effort shall be naturally forgotten in the public mind. History records the name of the final commander, the orchestrator, not the names of the masons. The glory shall be yours, who stands upon the highest peak, while the servants sink into the night. The eighth law: compel others to come to you. Employ the lure when necessary. When you force your adversary to act, you become the controller of the game. Never allow yourself to fall into a state of passivity, chasing or reacting to the battle laid out by others. The active pursuit is always the signature of desperation and weakness. Expansion 1. The home field and the active stance. Always strive to create a strategic situation where the rival must seek you out. This compels them to abandon their initial plans, move out of their safe zone, and act upon the terrain you have dictated. Once the enemy is in motion, they lose their focus and their composure. 2. The trap of illusory gain. Employ an irresistible lure or bait. This may be material gain, but it can also be the promise of fame, immense profit, or an unparalleled position of power. When the light of this illusory gain attracts them, they will automatically advance into the snare you have set. When they have vacated their defensive stance and are exhausted by the chase after a phantom, that is the very moment to deliver the decisive blow. You are the conductor, the one holding all strategic cards, and the other is merely a pawn, volunteering for entrapment. Hear now the edicts of unrivaled sovereignty. These are the celestial laws, etched upon the tablet of ages, the ultimate precepts, followed by emperors and strategists alike, in the founding of their realms. Listen and practice, for the holding of true power is never ceded to the faint-hearted soul, nor to those who cling to the folly of innocence. The ninth law: truth is revealed by deeds, not by debate, the silent hammer of reality. You must always prevail through action, never through contention. Any fleeting victory gained by the word, by the sharpest verbal strike, is in truth a poisoned triumph. Words are but a passing wind, easily refuted, easily forgotten. Action is the indelible carving upon the stone. When you argue, even if your reason is diamond hard, you merely provoke the combativeness and vanity of your opponent. They feel diminished, publicly shamed, and that wound will run deeper than any momentary change of opinion. The resentment and malice you sow are far more potent, and will linger longer than any fleeting moment of your supposed validation. Remember this well. Instead of striving to convince through reasoning, let your success speak for itself. Prove the rectitude of your path by achieving results that cannot be gainsaid. You need neither to explain nor to justify. You need only to act. The highest doctrine is this: be the architect, not the orator. Let your works, your prosperity, and the stability of your domain raise the banner of truth without your aid. Display, but do not defend. Act, and silently watch your opponent withdraw in ignominy, for there is no adversary stronger than self-evident fact. The 10th law, the dark miasma of contagion. Separate thyself from the wretched and the unlucky. Misfortune is a plague, and pity is no antidote. Upon the map of power, one absolute statute must be obeyed. Distance yourself from the unhappy, the ill-fated, and those immersed perpetually in tragedy. You risk death by the misery of others. Emotional states, negative energy, and a spirit steeped in tribulation are contagious and toxic, swiftly spreading like a physical disease. You may delude yourself into believing you are assisting the distressed or salvaging the fallen, but in truth, you are merely propelling yourself toward the pit of disaster. The unfortunate are often not victims of fate, but magnets for the negative. They carry a black aura, and merely touching it is enough to wither your own luck. They will not only draw calamity unto themselves, but they will pull calamity onto you, the one who stood too near. Break decisively from the mire of pessimism and lament. To aid them is sometimes an act of spiritual and fateful suicide. Therefore, obey the golden rule. Ally yourself with the happy, the successful, and those vibrant with positive power. Seek out the shining stars, for prosperity and good fortune are also infectious. Bathe in their radiance. When you join with the victor, their glory becomes a portion of yours. The 11th law, monopoly of necessity. Keep them dependent upon thyself. The reins of power, the dependency of others, is your freedom. To retain your independence and sovereignty, you must always be required, always the object others crave. The degree to which you are leaned upon is the measure of freedom you possess. You must make others rely on you not only for safety, but for their happiness, their prosperity, and their very destiny. When you become the master key that opens the door to their success, you need fear nothing. Absolutely forbidden is the act of imparting knowledge and skill to the degree that they can function without you. This is the felling of your own foundation. Teach them enough to see your irreplaceable value, but always keep the deep unspoken secrets in your hand. If you provide them the means of self-reliance, you become superfluous, like a tree whose fruit has fallen and now awaits the axe. Let them taste the fear of facing the world alone without you. The deeper their reliance, the more their shackles become your crown, and your existence becomes a non-negotiable principle of their life. The 12th law, selective sincerity. Use kindness as the Trojan horse, the piercing blow, opening the way with calculated generosity. No instrument is more effective for rapidly defeating suspicion than a calculated act of truth and honesty. A timely act of sincerity or kindness can cloak a multitude of deceits, or obscure the insidious intent of your maneuvers to come. Open gestures, unexpected generosity, or a genuinely unguarded word will instantly lower the defenses of even the most wary. This is the art of creating a strategic breach in the fortress wall. Once your selective sincerity has opened a gap in their ramparts, you may deceive and manipulate them at will. It is the deployment of the Trojan horse. You offer their citadel a precious gift, causing them to welcome it gladly, entirely unsuspecting of the forces of deception hidden within. A timely gift, a selfless aid, or an honest admission of a personal weakness will serve this purpose. Always employ honesty as a strategic tool, an opening weapon, never as a moral mandate. Give a small part away to seize the whole of their trust. In the Book of Power Principles, where the supreme tenets that shape the destiny of emperors and predators upon the stage of dominion are inscribed, there are 4 grievous, yet eternal, laws that any who seek to grasp the reins of fortune must utterly comprehend. The 13th law, seek aid based upon the self-interest of others, never upon pity or past favors. This is the immutable law of human nature. Self-gain is the primary mover, the deepest root of all motivation. When necessity compels you to plead for succor, commit not the folly of recalling past generosities or debts of loyalty. Gratitude, in the cold world of power, is but dew that vanishes under the scorching sun of personal ambition. He whom you approach shall easily find 100 justifications to deny your former support or declare such contributions a debt settled and paid. Instead of imploring compassion, an emotion fleeting and easily ignored, you must conduct yourself as a wise merchant. Search deeply into the essence of your entreaty and unearth a seed of profit, a succulent lure, a strategic opportunity, or a measurable increase in power that the one petitioned may harvest. You must display, emphasize, and magnify this potential bounty into a treasure greater than the peril he might shoulder in assisting you. Paint a vision of mutual prosperity, of an alliance wherein the reward for him is undeniable. Only when a tangible gain, an increase in wealth, standing, or personal influence, is laid bare before his eyes, shall he respond to your call with the burning zeal of the hunteress instinct. Avarice is a chain of forged steel, 1,000 times stronger than the thin silk of gratitude. The 14th law, wear the visage of amity, act as the deep agent of penetration. In the contest for dominion, intelligence is purest gold, the sharpest spear tip. To be blind to the adversary's intent is to hand him your own blade. Thus, mastering the subtle chambers of the foe's mind and grasping their hidden designs is paramount for retaining the vanguard. Though the use of mindless pawns or professional informers is necessary for gathering valuable intelligence, the highest art is to become the spy within your own circle of acquaintance. Clothe yourself in the garment of warmth and openness, behaving as a confidant and sincere ally, whilst your inner eye and spirit operate as a cold engine of analysis. No social gathering is without purpose. No idle chatter is devoid of opportunity to practice the subtle craft of espionage. Learn to probe with artistry. Never inquire directly, but utilize oblique queries, gentle suggestions, circling the crucial matter until the target willingly unlocks their own treasury of secrets. Men most willingly reveal their weaknesses, veiled ambitions, and nascent intentions when they feel most secure and trusting. Your purpose is to pierce the heart, reading thoughts before they are given voice. Your enemy shall never perceive the honed edge hidden beneath your genial smile, until he has freely placed all his pieces upon your board. The 15th law: destroy the enemy root and branch. Leave no ember undisturbed. All great rulers, from Moses establishing the law to the mightiest conquerors of history, have learned this harsh decree. An enemy once subdued, if allowed even the faintest glimmer of hope, must be utterly pulverized. Many have paid the dearest price for failing this lesson. If you leave but a smoldering wick, however dim in the dark, that flame of vengeance shall eventually roar back, consuming the edifice you labored to construct. The greatest losses often arise from halting at the halfway point, from misplaced clemency. The foe shall recuperate, rebuild their strength in shadow, and await the opportune moment to unleash their wrath upon you threefold. Therefore, when the decision to strike is made, execute absolute annihilation. Not merely crushing the body, dissolving the armies, or seizing the assets, but, more importantly, shattering the spirit and the will of the opponent. Render him incapable of dreaming of retribution. Sow horror and desperation to the depths, making your very name a perpetual curse against any who dare to resist. The purging must be absolute, leaving no seed of hatred or capacity for recovery. This necessary cruelty establishes the true peace under your dominion. The 16th law: employ absence to magnify reverence and standing. The law of scarcity governs both commodity and renown. Too great a presence, too frequent an interaction, shall diminish your worth in the eyes of the populace and your allies. Like a cheap ware flooding the market, immoderate visibility renders you common, familiar, and easily dismissed. Too much shall transform you from a legend into a tedious habit. If you have attained a measure of standing within a group or on the stage of power, this is the golden hour to enact the art of strategic retreat. A temporary and calculated withdrawal shall create a vacuum of authority and a palpable absence. The people shall then begin to speak of you more often, recounting your deeds and qualities with multiplied admiration. You must master the timing of departure. Scarcity generates value. Mystery nurtures veneration. Let the masses yearn for your presence. Let them thirst for your utterance and action. Never permit them to feel satiated, for once saturation is achieved, respect quickly transforms into indifference. Guard your mystique by controlling the frequency of your manifestation, turning absence into the mightiest instrument for the buttressing of your dominion and honor. The Gospel of Power Manipulation, the Supreme Codex, Chapter 17, The Art of Sowing Mental Fog. Law 17, Maintain unpredictability, cast others into perpetual doubt. Man, in his deepest nature, hungers for rules and structure. They chase familiarity, hunting for repeatable patterns in the conduct of their fellows, for the grasp of another cycle of action yields the illusion of safety and control. Predictability is the voluntary manacle. When thy behavior becomes as legible as a textbook, thou hast surrendered the key of control unto the enemy. Turn the tables. Thou must become an entity of perfect indeterminacy, an unsolved equation that defeats every logical mind. Execute actions that appear inconsistent, obeying no evident or discernible purpose. The strategy of calculated chaos. One moment, bestow lavish, unreasonable generosity. The next, inflict a cold, unforgiving harshness. Today, a trusted intimate. Tomorrow, a distant, chilling antagonist. Thou needst offer no explanation. The opacity itself shall stand as thy strength. When the adversary cannot map thy psychological terrain, they are compelled to waste vital, spiritual energy, seeking to rationalize thy every move. They shall exhaust themselves in the fruitless pursuit of a logic that does not exist. The final consequence, this absolute indeterminacy, translates into a silent, crushing threat. Thou hast no need to parade thy force. The sheer uncertainty of thy mind is sufficient to break the will of others, plunging them into a state of chronic anxiety and deep-seated dread. Thou art transformed into a catastrophe that cannot be forecast. Chapter 18, The Peril of the Isolated Sanctuary. Law 18, Build no bastion for self-defense. Isolation is the path to ruin. This world is a fierce battleground, and foes lurk in every shadow. Instinct commands the individual to raise walls. A solid fortress appears, at first glance, the ultimate sanctuary. Yet this is the bitter truth. Isolation exposes thee to greater perils than those it purports to guard against. A material fortress may bar the entry of blade and lance, yet it obstructs the vital flow of intelligence. Severed from the social network, thou becomest a sightless entity in a world of contention. While thy enemies accumulate wisdom and maneuver, thou art left only with sterile quiet and self-satisfied ignorance. The price of separation. Thou art easily made prominent. Like a solitary beacon upon a dark shore, the clearer the target, the straighter the arrow flies. Thou shalt possess no allies, no ears, and no prior warnings. The optimal strategy, rather than retreat into solitary pride, circulate mightily among the populace. Forge bonds, seek allies at every level, and immerse thyself in the complex currents of society. The unassailable shield, the very multitude, the chaos of the public, and the intricate network of relationships shall become the most durable and invisible shield. Thou art obscured by sheer density, by the difficulty of the foe determining thy exact target. When thou art a part of the whole, the enemy cannot strike thee without provoking war with countless others. True safety resides not in the thickness of stone, but in the number of those willing to stand beside thee. Chapter 19, Discerning the Wolf from the Lamb. Law 19, Accurately discern the nature of thy counterpart. Do not provoke the wrong soul. The vast world is comprised of a myriad of temperaments, and it is folly to assume that all individuals will react to thy strategy in the same mold. Vengeance is not a uniform reaction. It is an art form defined by its level of intensity. Classify the enemy. There are those who, when deceived or overcome, will accept their loss readily, retreating into forgetfulness. But there exist other souls, those bearing the true nature of the wolf beneath the fleece of the lamb, who will dedicate the remainder of their existence to the slow, burning pursuit of retribution, the essence of enduring vengeance. These individuals never relent. To them, honor and hatred are perpetual assets. They may conceal themselves in the shadows for decades, awaiting the precise moment of thy complacency to deliver the fatal blow. Their enmity is a subterranean hellfire that shall not be extinguished. The principle of object selection. Before setting the snare or committing a decisive act of deception, thou must rigorously vet thy victim and adversary. Assess their capacity for endurance, their ability to harbor hatred, and the reach of their networks. Choose targets who can be vanquished without the latent capacity to sow long-term disaster. Steer clear of those with profound dispositions, those who have suffered great and lasting loss, and those who possess concealed sinews of power. The Supreme Edict: never incense, never humiliate, and never deceive the wrong person. A single failure in the assessment of character can transform a temporary triumph into a curse that shall cling unto thee until thy dying breath. Proceed with the caution of one who treads upon ground teeming with vipers. Chapter 20. The Independent Stance and the Throne of Command. Law X. Bind thyself to no one. Be the perpetual pivot. The fool is the one who hastens to choose a side, plunging into the wars of others with blind allegiance. To swear commitment to a faction, an ideal, or a single person is to willingly surrender thy own self-determination and become a disposable pawn. Commit allegiance to but one sovereign entity, thyself. By maintaining absolute independence, thou not only preserve thy flexibility of action but also become the center of all concern. When thou belongest to no one, all must come in pursuit of thee. The stance of the balance of power. Become the detached observer who holds the key to equilibrium. When two rival factions are locked in conflict, thou art the sole neutral force that both must seek to sway. Thy mere existence becomes a potential profit for either, and they will willingly pay a higher price and grant greater concession to secure thy temporary favor. The art of indirect opposition. Do not enter the fray directly. Use thy independence to set one party against the other, forcing them to exhaust their strength upon themselves. Thou shalt manage the war from a distance, and the combatants will never perceive that their struggle serves only the elevation of thy interests. Become the unclaimed treasure. Compel all men to pursue thee, to prove their own worth in thy sight. Never permit thyself to chase or petition. When thou art the object of pursuit, thou retainest the authority of decree. Independence is not isolation, it is the throne of the commander. While others are shackled by oaths and obligations, thou art free to move, free to change strategy, transformed into the master operator of the puppet strings, maneuvering the destinies of those who chose to be bound. In this celestial scroll of sovereignty, we continue the revelation of the most unforgiving tenets required to survive and ascend in this pitiless domain. Apply them not merely with intellect, but with the dramatic spirit of the emperor. The Great Law 21. Assume the cloak of the simpleton. The fundamental mandate. Assume the guise of the naive to ensnare the proud, causing the victim to believe his brilliance eclipses thine own by a magnitude. No man willingly endures the sensation of inferiority, least of all the one thou seekest to exploit. This is the fatal aperture thou must breach. To hunt, thou must first cultivate the illusion of their intellectual supremacy. Artfully don the raiment of the simpleton, the clumsy, or the slightly endearing deficient. In the game of power, deliberate ignorance is a mask more subtle than wisdom. When thou appearest inept, The foe relaxes his vigilance, believing he has plumbed the depths of thy strategy, or worse, that no strategy exists at all. They become complacent, abandoning all defense. Thy task is not merely to make the victim feel intelligent, but to make him feel vastly more intelligent than thee. Allow him the savor of lecturing, of commanding, of being perceived as the undisputed master of scheme. He shall never suspect one whose wit he holds in contempt. His excess confidence is the unseen cord binding him to thy precise design. When the quarry has convinced himself of his absolute intellect, he shall unlock his own gates and hand the keys of the treasure vault to the hunter, hiding beneath the harmless shroud. This drama of feigned dullness is not an act of weakness, but the supreme patience of the general, awaiting the precise moment of engagement. The Great Law, 22. Deploy the tactic of submission. The fundamental mandate. When placed in the posture of weakness, never wage war for the sake of fleeting honor. Choose the tactic of submission to transmute deficiency into latent strength. In the pursuit of dominion, blood spilled for honor is a vanity. When faced with overwhelming force, the wisest act is not valiant confrontation, but the bow of subservience. Surrender is not cessation. It is a ribbon rolled tightly, awaiting the moment to unfurl. Submission bestows benefits beyond measure. First, time for restoration. It grants safe retreat, allows the tending of wounds, the regrouping of forces, and the waiting for the conqueror's storm to wane. Second, psychological torment. The unexpected surrender unsettles the mind of the victor. Thou hast stripped him of the joy of battle and the satisfaction of crushing an opponent. He gains not the glory he craved. Instead, he must bear the burden of managing and controlling a willing, unresisting subject. The act of turning thy back and offering the other cheek shall cause more vexation and instability than any sustained fight. Thou hast rendered the victor an executioner without an audience, and that resentment shall erode his vigor over time. Remember this: the conqueror is only satisfied when he forces thee to fight and then annihilates thee completely. Conversely, voluntary submission renders his triumph hollow and without purpose. Make thy capitulation a tool of power, a soft snare wherein the victor is imprisoned by his own illusion of victory, while thou silently hone thy blades in the twilight. The Great Law 23. Converge the force. The fundamental mandate. Preserve energy and strength by concentrating it upon the strongest point. Intensity shall always triumph over breadth. The world is replete with the shallow, those who attempt too much simultaneously, seeking too many trivial opportunities. They resemble the hunter who traverses field after field, gathering only scattered grains, while the wise man sinks his shaft deep into one established gold seam. Thou shalt achieve vastly more by finding one rich vein of ore and exploiting it to its terminus than by wandering between many shallow deposits. The scattering of energy is the nemesis of efficacy. Like the sun's light, when converged through a lens, it can ignite a forest. When dispersed, it is merely faint warmth. In thy search for the resources that undergird power, apply this principle. 1. Identify the center of gravity. Discern the one or two domains where thy strength is absolute, and devote all mind and material unto it. 2. Selective patronage. Waste no time courting hundreds of minor influences. Instead, seek the key pillar, a singular, pivotal benefactor that can provide rich and stable sustenance for a prolonged season. Deep persistence and focus create a leverage that cannot be overcome. When thou engagest in one pursuit with maximum intensity, thou shalt become the undisputed master of that domain, and thy resources shall never be depleted by shallowness. The Great Law 24. Master the art of the courtier. The fundamental mandate. The perfect courtier is the artist of survival in the world revolving around power and political finesse. He has mastered the discipline of indirection. The inner court is a dangerous battlefield where every utterance is a weapon and every smile a potential dagger. To ascend without limit in that space, Thou must learn indirection, a fluid dance between submission and control. The perfect courtier must be a talented thespian and a refined diplomat, one who has perfected these stratagems. First, the technique of subtle adulation. Praise the superior not with crude accolades, but by artfully demonstrating admiration for their intellect or their steadfast resolve, thus making them feel safe and valued, unaware that they are being maneuvered. Second, conditional subservience. Always appear willing to yield and submit to the superior. This yielding is the veneer, for immediately thereafter, assert thy authority over others subtly, using the most indirect methods. Third, the art of the vague accusation. Never confront or condemn directly. Use allegory, hushed counsel, or the perfectly timed silence to shape opinion and undermine the adversary without leaving a trace of thy handiwork. Learn and apply the unwritten laws of the court. Act with grace and ambiguity. When thou canst achieve thy ends without creating any sound or opposition, thou hast become a force without limit. Thou shalt rise to the zenith, not by brute strength, but by the supreme subtlety of a master of the drama of power. O Emperor, O Seeker traversing the high path of conquest, give heed now to these immutable commandments. These are not mere tactics, but the very philosophy of existence in the universe of power, where the mighty scribe the laws and the weak stand waiting only for oblivion. The 25th law: thou must recreate thyself from ashes and gold. The launch pad of legend, sculpt thy own spiritual form. The world, in its vulgarity, seeks always to assign thee predetermined roles, cages of social expectation, shackles forged by thy past. Thou shalt cast down these moldering precepts. Thou art not the product of thy environment, but the supreme architect of thine own soul. Recreation is the pilgrimage of sculpting a new persona, an icon unmistakable, eternally demanding attention, and never allowing the audience to grow weary. This image must be constructed with the precision of an ancient temple, every detail consecrated with sacred meaning and authority. Allow no hand but thine own to grasp the quill that writes thy character. Reclaim that sovereign power. Thou must be the master of thy public portrait, not a mere canvas painted by the whim of others. Integrate dramatic devices into every public gesture and deed. Thy life is the grand stage. Know how to wield light, shadow, and theatrical flourish. Thy actions must be larger than life, surpassing the grasp of simple understanding. When thou dost walk, let it be a procession. When thou dost speak, let it be an oracle's prophecy. This manipulation of emotion and the capacity to create magnificent spectacles shall magnify thy influence, transforming thee into a living legend, a figure greater than reality itself. The 26th law: let not the filth adhere to the hands of the sovereign. Absolute purity. Image is the invulnerable armor of authority. In the gaze of the populace, thou must stand as the golden standard of civilization, efficacy, and virtue. Thy hands must never be stained by the blemish of error, the mark of dark deeds, or the taint of cunning manipulation. Thou art the quintessence, the embodiment of order. Yet the war for power is a foul engagement. Thou must uphold this visage of immaculate purity by utilizing others as unwitting pawns and shields to disguise thy direct involvement. When ruthlessness must be employed, procure a devoted subordinate, a proxy sufficiently zealous to willingly accept the transgression. When failure occurs, when misdeed is uncovered, thou shalt not merely deny thy connection, but be the first among all to decry the action itself. This dark machination permits thee to achieve thy ends without injury to thy honor. Thy power is augmented not only by thy perceived sanctity, but by the chilling mystery of thy ability to act without leaving a trace. There shall always be a scapegoat, always one to bear the sacrificial flame. Thou, seated upon the throne, must remain the white shadow in the deep night, the soul refinement that endures. The 27th law, be the new prophet and cultivate belief. The religion of power. Exploit the eternal human desire for faith. Deep within the human spirit lies a potent and irresistible yearning to believe in something greater than themselves, an ideal, an ultimate truth, or a savior. Especially when the old religions fade and traditional ideals collapse, a vast spiritual void shall manifest. Thou must become the focal point of this desire. Propose a new objective, a new creed, a new gospel for them to pursue. Thy rhetoric must retain a mystical ambiguity, never so concrete that it can be tested, yet overflowing with boundless promise of a brilliant future or absolute salvation. Emphasize consuming zeal over cold reason and clarity of thought. For passion is a contagion that spreads, while logic is the frost that halts all movement. To cement this adoration, bestow upon thy new adherents sacred rituals to perform repetitive actions that reinforce their bondage. More importantly, demand sacrifice in thy name or in the name of the ideal. When they surrender possessions, time, or even relationships for thee, the bond shall become indissoluble. Fanaticism is the most potent source of energy. In the absence of established religions and great former ideals, thy new system of belief shall grant thee unmatched authority and absolute control over the destinies of multitudes. The 28th law, when thou, ACTEST, strike through hesitation with iron resolve. Boldness is the soul of victory. Strength rests in absolute decisiveness. If any uncertainty remains regarding thy course of action, do not pursue it. Thy doubt and hesitation are invisible plagues, infecting and weakening thy entire cohort and supporters. Timidity is the swiftest road to ruin and anonymity. Better to risk all and act with absolute audacity than to stand paralyzed by fear. Hesitation signals frailty. Boldness creates the illusion of invincibility and exceptionalism. Any mistake committed through superior courage is easily rectified or obscured by the next, greater act of daring. Thy calculated recklessness and fire shall stun adversaries and awe thy adherents, thus eclipsing all minor failures. The world always venerates and exalts the valiant warrior, the pioneer, who risks his life to charge into the maelstrom. None remember, and certainly none celebrate, the soul possessed by trembling, the one who shrinks in the shadows for fear of peril. Enter the fray with the posture of a deity, decisive, unrepentant, and indomitable. This is the secret to translating failures into scars of honor and transforming audacious risks into everlasting legend. Hear now the cardinal doctrines, the supreme arcanum by which destiny is not merely met, but mastered, not only for thyself, but for all those who dare enter the sphere of thy influence. Engrave these upon thy soul, for they are the sacred compass for those who stand upon the apex, yet refuse to be cast down by the tempest. The 29th law, plan to the uttermost extent. The final verdict is all. In the great contest of life and death, victory belongs only to him who has foreseen the epilogue, who has calculated every move until the curtain's descent. The conclusion is history's final verdict, the sole measure by which all thy labor is weighed. Plan not merely for the instant of glorious triumph, but stretch thy vision beyond it, through the long years of its aftermath. Account for every potential consequence, every latent obstruction, and the unpredictable perfidy of Tite, the goddess of fortune, who might, in a single blink, rescind the fruits of thy arduous toil and bestow thy hard-won laurels upon another. The supremacy of farsight, the one who sees only the step before him, is forever a slave to circumstance. The one who has charted the end shall never be overcome by situation. Thou shalt always know thy limit, precisely when to halt, when to retreat with subtle grace, or when to deliver the ultimate stroke. By reasoning afar thou shalt not contend with the current of destiny. Thou shalt gently shape and guide the river of fate to thy will, becoming the silent architect of the years to come. Remember this: thou art not merely the player, thou must be the prophet who fulfills his own prophecy. The 30th law: transform effort into genius. Conceal the labor and the agony. Let all thy actions appear transcendently natural, fluid, and effortless, as though thou wert merely partaking in leisurely amusement. Every great accomplishment must be rendered as innate instinct. The art of absolute concealment. All the deep contemplation, the 1,000 hours of relentless practice in the shadows, every cunning stratagem and subtle artifice thou hast mastered, all must be interred beneath the soil of secrecy. When thou actest, move with supreme lightness, as though a tenth of thy power remains unused. Eschew the temptation to reveal how mightily thou hast labored. To publicize thy strenuous endeavor diminishes thy authority and thy divine appearance, inviting the cynical doubt that if the task required such misery, thy true mastery must be less than absolute. Strength resides in the air of insouciance, in complete command. Preserve thy arcanum. Never teach nor transmit thy precise methodologies or subtle techniques to any soul. Once the secret is unveiled, it becomes a sharpened weapon forged to turn against thee. Thou must remain the solitary peak with the sole path to the summit. The 31st law: manipulate the options. Control the hand, thou dealest. Compel others to play upon the board thou hast set, utilizing the pieces thou hast dealt. The most insidious deceptions are those which seemingly grant the victim the liberty of choice. The illusion of autonomy. Thy targets must believe they hold the reins of control, that every decision flows from their independent will. In truth, they are mere puppets dancing upon the invisible strings thou dost tug from behind the curtain. Offer men options where, regardless of their selection, the final outcome inclines wholly to thy benefit. Force them into a dilemma, a choice between two evils, yet both evils serve thy ultimate purpose. The horns of dilemma. Drive them onto the horns of a dilemma. Whichever direction they turn their head, they are impaled upon the spike. When thou controllest the available options, thou need not control the men. They shall willingly enter the cage by their own hand. The 32nd law. Exploit the chimera. Fan the fancies of the multitude. Truth is often a bitter draught, rough upon the tongue, and difficult to consume. Men habitually shun reality for its inherent ugliness and discomfort. Never seek to invoke the stark nakedness of the real unless thou art prepared to face the wrath born of disillusionment. Life is hardship and filled with woe. The strength of the oasis. Those who can construct romantic narratives, paint glittering illusions, or summon dreams of escape from the mundane are as cool oases amidst the dry desert of reality. Every thirsty soul rushes toward them to grasp the unsatisfied yearning, and the stifled dreams of the populace is to possess boundless might. Instead of confronting the fury of truth, grant them the comfort of glorious, shimmering hope. Be the supreme storyteller, the illusionist who manipulates belief for the exploitation of the popular imagination. The fantasy is the swift path to absolute dominion, the arcanum of kings, the 4 canons of absolute power. These are the 4 supreme statutes in the eternal conflict for dominion, inscribed not merely by men, but by the penmanship of cunning philosophers and the emperors who grip the fates of mankind. The 33rd canon. Locate the secret screw of the soul. Every mortal possesses within their edifice a fatal weak point, a breach a wise warrior must seek out. It is not a hidden military secret, but a small screw, a buried lever deep within the spirit, which, when turned, can collapse the most iron-willed resolve. Deem yourself an archaeologist of private fears. You must venture into the landscape of their deepest insecurity, where ungoverned passions rage, or where secret insatiable pleasures hold sway. Every person, though draped in the firmest armor, possesses an Achilles heel of flesh. This vulnerability is often a buried lack of self-belief, an irrational rage, or a thirst for renown, gold, or love that borders on the foolish. This is the vis of destiny. Once found, it becomes the universal tool, permitting you to manipulate your adversary as a mere puppet upon the stage of power. Remember this: you need not defeat them through direct might. Simply turn the screw. Their dread becomes your blade, and their secret joys the very ropes that bind them to your will. This is the subtle alchemy of coercion, performed in absolute silence and efficacy. The 34th canon: assume the imperial demeanor. Carry yourself as a sovereign, and the world shall bow before you as a king. The manner in which you bear your presence dictates your fortune and how you shall be treated in life. Dignity is not a gift, it is a mantle self-imposed. If you appear common, slovenly, or exhibit coarseness, men will swiftly disdain and undervalue you. For he who undervalues himself invites the universe contempt. Conversely, a true monarch honors his own authority, and, by doing so, provokes reciprocal reverence in others. Erect a halo of inviolability around your person. Let every action, word, and gesture exude gravity, confidence requiring no proof, and a profound conviction that power was your destiny from the dawn of creation. You must live and breathe the bearing of one born to the crown. When you act as though the station is already yours, others will automatically accept their role as your subjects. Permit no mediocrity to dull your royal radiance, for demeanor is command, and nobility alone distinguishes the ruler from the ruled. The 35th canon: master the sacred art of timing. Never reveal haste. Eagerness is ever the signature of insufficient control, not only of yourself, but of the very stream of time. Proceed with absolute patience, as though you know all good things must inevitably seek you out. Time is not a foe to be vanquished, but an ally to be honored. Hurry renders decisions shallow and betrays internal disquiet. The powerful maintain a slow, unwavering tempo, as if governing a cosmic river. You must become a surveyor of the golden moment. Use your stillness to divine the spirit of the age, the burgeoning trends, and the waves that will carry you to the apex of power. This is the difference between speed born of impulse and action born of ripeness. Learn to retreat when the season is not yet mature, when the fruit is still green. But when the precise moment arrives, when the alignment of the stars is perfect, strike with the swiftness of lightning, with an unhesitating finality. Strength resides in strategic waiting, not in frantic activity. Let time labor on your behalf, turning patience into the sharpest, most unseen weapon. The 36th canon: scorn that which you cannot reach. To ignore is a sublime form of retribution. By acknowledging a minor slight, a petty foe, or an unattained desire, you grant them existence and credence. To react to minor provocation is to empower the weak. Power must not spend its energy upon trifles. The more attention you lend to an enemy, the stronger you render him, for notice is the very lifeblood of mediocrity. The small-minded shall wither if ignored entirely, for your silence testifies that they are unworthy of your wrath. Likewise, minor mistakes often become magnified when you overzealously attempt to rectify them. Sometimes it is best to let matters rest. Excessive attention to repair only highlights the cracks rather than concealing them. If there is something you yearn for but cannot possess, display the coldest contempt. Never betray regret or longing. Your indifference creates a gulf of power, rendering you supreme and self-contained, as though the object was beneath your gaze. Apathy is the armor against disappointment, and it convinces others that what you have is sufficient, and what you lack must be worthless. These are the 4 laws of power and sublime form. These are the supreme precepts engraved in the chronicles of authority, reserved only for those who yearn to reign upon the throne of influence and command. The 37th law: construct the glorious theater and the iconic image. Create spectacles of awe, shocking visual images, and gestures of monumental symbolism to forge an inescapable radiance of power. All men must bend the knee before them. True power is not merely an inner strength, but a visible manifest presence in the eye and mind of the multitude. The sovereign must be the master dramatist. Transform your life and every deed into a transcendent pageant, where valor and mystery are displayed under the brightest lights. Stage public performances filled with seismic images and glowing symbols that multiply your presence 100-fold. A whisper must carry the weight of divine edict, a small gesture, the thunder of fate. Clothe yourself in objects of splendor, employ ancient and intricate rites, until men believe your authority is not accidental or terrestrial, but a divine arrangement, a revelation of the heavens. When the masses are captivated by the external, dazzled by the splendor, they forget to inquire into the essence, and no one may examine the deeper machinations hidden behind your curtain. They are seduced by luxury, paralyzed by grandeur, reduced to admiration rather than suspicion. Authority, like the sun, must be viewed in its full blazing glory, else it shall be deemed insignificant. The 38th law: think as a solitary soul, ACT as the general populace. Let your thoughts be free as the wind, but let your conduct be governed by ritual. If you willfully flaunt your rejection of the age, boasting of unique concepts and unorthodox habits, men shall perceive only arrogance and contempt. Originality is a precious flame, yet it must be sheltered within a closed lantern. The philosopher may sharpen his mind in the lonely ivory tower, but the strategist must dwell among the wolves. If you publicly shame others by demonstrating your distinction and superiority, suggesting their ideas are base and their customs obsolete, they will seek all means to punish you for wounding their pride and jeopardizing their comfort. This smoldering resentment is the poison that destroys repute. Supreme wisdom lies in the ability to merge with the multitude, embracing and nurturing common ground. Don the cloak of commonality, sharing customary beliefs and habits, even while your heart harbors schemes far beyond their comprehension. Behave as a comrade, a servant of the law, a reliable member of the community. Reserve your exceptional vision and originality only for those benevolent confidants certain to cherish your irreplaceable worth. Security is the bedrock of power. Never trade stability for the empty vanity of public difference. The 39th law: trouble the waters to trap the mighty prey. Wrath and emotion are strategic impediments and wholly counterproductive. You must ever preserve absolute tranquility and objectivity. But if you possess the art of rousing fury in your adversary, while retaining perfect composure, you shall seize a monumental advantage. Emotion is a dull blade. Reason is the arrow that pierces steel. When the foe seethes, their vision is obscured. Their deeds become unpredictable, yet strangely legible. The objective is not victory through direct strength, but to cast them into a state of psychological disequilibrium. Locate the thorn in their vainglory, where self-importance becomes the heel of Achilles. Through subtle goads, unforeseen actions, or sophisticated slights, you may strike at their ego, compelling them to react through impulse rather than calculation. When the enemy is swept into the cyclone of rage, they surrender invaluable strategic openings. You shall become the master of the tangled cords of feeling, manipulating their pieces without the shedding of a drop of blood or a single direct threat. The sovereign is the one who maintains silence amidst the tempest, for only then is the quiet voice of wisdom truly heard. The 40th law: scorn the free banquet and dispense lavish generosity. That which is granted freely often harbors great peril. It is always coupled with a subtle snare or a concealed obligation. The thing of true worth merits a full price. Never succumb to the sweetened peril of charity or the favor that demands no restitution. The gift without cost is an invisible tether, sowing indebtedness, guilt, and reliance, whereby your autonomy is forfeit. When you pay your passage, you maintain purity from debt and deceit. Furthermore, accept to pay the full toll and even a higher tariff for mastery and flawless quality. There is no swift path to lasting eminence. Parsimony is not the virtue of the emperor. It is the emblem of fear and destitution. Be generous with your treasure, ensuring it flows mighty, like the river nourishing the kingdom. Conspicuous and deliberate expenditure attests to your infinite capacity, serving as a magnet that draws power. Generosity is not waste, but an investment in the image of dominance, an affirmation of boundless resources. By commanding the high price, you establish the standard of excellence and proclaim that your time and vigor are too precious to be exchanged for paltry bargains. Let currency be a humble tool to serve, not a severe master to bind your hand. The law of power, a saga of manipulation and destiny. Law 41. Shun the giant's shadow. Break the legacy to forge thy own star. The immutable principle. The shadow of a great man is a gilded prison, not a pedestal. That which comes first carries the divine beauty of Genesis, of unassailable originality and depth. The successor, however gifted, is ever deemed a pale replica, a soulless echo. The warning of fate: if you inherit the domain of a titan, a legendary sovereign, or bear the lineage of an illustrious father, you must achieve double their feats and command a greater fanfare, merely to stand level. You shall be ensnared in a borrowed radiance, imprisoned by a past you did not construct. Fail, and you are but a billowing cloak in the wind, forever without distinct form. The enlightened action. Never allow yourself to be submerged in the shadow of a pre-existing monument. You must bravely execute the symbolic act of patricide against the legacy and expectations of your predecessor. Scorn and reject the worn path by shifting direction, changing tactics, and reshaping the entire theater. Create your own dominion, where their laws hold no purchase. You must be the volcano erupting anew, not a stream following an ancient riverbed. The glorious result: only when you dare publicly to shatter the mold and establish an unparalleled personal persona can your own light shine forth. True power rests not in inheritance, but in recreation. Let them honor the past, but compel them to kneel before the future you alone have authored. Law 42. Strike the shepherd. Dispel the core to scatter the flock. The immutable principle: trouble is never amorphous. It is a serpent with a discernible head. Chaos among the populace invariably stems from one tenacious individual, the sower of discord, the arrogant subordinate, or the poisoner of goodwill. This one is the infectious germ, the boulder blocking the stream. The warning of fate: if you grant these powerful individuals latitude to manipulate and foment, others shall swiftly be swept into their tide of influence. Waste no strength in treating symptoms, the small rebellions, the whispers of distrust, for they multiply like a plague. Never commit the error of negotiating with the irredeemable, for they interpret it as weakness. The enlightened action: you must act with the finality of a thunderbolt. Focus all strength and will upon the source of the vexation. Precisely identify the ringleader, the shepherd guiding the sheep. You must neutralize their influence by isolating them from the community or casting them out from your domain. Conduct a surgery cold and exact. Excise the cancerous cell to save the body whole. The glorious result: when the guide is struck down, humiliated, or banished to the dark, the flock loses its bearing. Their unity fractures. Their will to fight dissolves. When you attack the core strength, the remainder crumbles automatically, and power returns to your absolute control without broad bloodshed. Law 43. Engrave upon the heart the art of seduction to turn foes into devotees. The immutable principle: coercion breeds resistance, a chain reaction that shall eventually turn upon you. Enduring power derives not from compulsion by iron chains, but from voluntary obedience. You must charm others, making them desire to walk the path you have charted. The warning of fate: the compelled merely await their moment to rise. If you ignore the minds and emotions of the multitude, they shall harbor subtle hatred, and their loyalty is but a brittle sheet of ice. The use of crude violence is only a temporary balm, creating deep wounds that cannot be sutured. The enlightened action, the mastery of dominion, lies in becoming a grand architect of individual psychology. Study well the inner map of each subject, what they crave, what they fear, and what secret wound lies concealed within them. You must approach the most hardened soul by working upon their sentiments, playing upon the values they cherish and the terrors that dwell deep within. The glorious result: one who has been seduced by you becomes not merely a loyal pawn, but a fervent disciple. They willingly dedicate their will and vigor to your purpose. When you conquer the heart, subjugation is softer than silk but stronger than fetters, forging an unbreakable alliance of will. Law 44, the mirror of wrath. Reflect reality to cause the foe to self-destruct. The immutable principle: the mirror does not merely reflect reality. It is the perfect tool for deception, mockery, and psychological domination. The countenance of your enemy is the ultimate weapon you can turn back upon themselves. The warning of fate: the enemy will forever seek to read your strategy, searching for weakness and the singularity of your actions. If your movements are too divergent, they shall swiftly chart a counterplan and establish fortified defenses. The enlightened action: employ the mirror effect as a fatal blow. When you reflect the foe's actions, doing precisely as they do, they utterly lose the ability to discern your strategy. They are fighting a ghostly double. This action mocks and humiliates them, driving them into a state of extreme fury, causing them to overreact, lose all control, and expose their vulnerability. High craftsmanship. 1. Reflective mirror of tactics. Mimic their actions to sow confusion, making them unable to distinguish themselves from the opponent. 2. Reflective mirror of values. Entice them with the illusion that you share their beliefs and pieties, drawing them into the snare of confidence. 3. Reflective mirror of flaws, mirror of judgment. Reflect their egregious mistakes and foolish behaviors back upon them, forcing them to confront their own failure. The glorious result: few can withstand the devastating power of the speculum. You not only blind them to your strategy, but you use their own fire to consume them. You secure victory without generating any novel movement yourself. Your enemy shall collapse under the weight of their own mirrored self. Yet these tactics alone do not secure the kingdom. In the eternal struggle for survival and dominion, the master strategist must ceaselessly draw wisdom from the furnace of history and the deep abiding laws of human nature. The 4 edicts which follow serve as the cornerstone for those who seek to anchor their authority, evade the silent wrath of the adversary, and sidestep the fatal snare of their own success. Edict XLV: let all reform be shrouded in the mantle of ancient custom. The core teaching of this law is this: preach the necessity of innovation, but never reform too swiftly in a single movement. All men understand change in theory, yet in the daily conduct of life, mankind is a creature of deep habit. Excessive innovation is a spiritual shock, inviting profound offense and risking the sudden spark of rebellion. The strength of the ruler lies not in the speed of their change, but in the stability they provide. When a new sovereign or an outsider attempts to establish a foundation of power, the supreme requirement is to stage a performance of reverence for the established customs and old traditions. The masses accept the shouted promise of a better future, but they rise in fury when the familiar objects of their daily lives are suddenly overturned. From the method of taxation, the order of the sacred ritual, to the arrangement of the offices. The mental chaos caused by too rapid a change leads the public to feel betrayed and disoriented. If restructuring is truly necessary, it must be enacted gently, with subtle grace. Cloak the change in the apparel of subtle improvement. or the restoration of forgotten ancient virtue. Then, instead of feeling coerced, the populace will believe they are joining the leader in rebuilding a former order that was once better and more just. For in the heart of every citizen, the belief in stability and custom is stronger than any grand promise concerning the future. The wise leader does not demolish the foundation stones of the societal edifice. He merely adjusts them with careful hand. Edict XLVI, never appear unflawed. The core teaching of this law is this: to appear superior is always perilous, but the gravest danger lies in appearing utterly without fault or weakness. Envy creates silent, enduring enemies. The shrewd man must occasionally expose small defects and admit to harmless vices to deflect the tide of jealousy, thereby becoming more human and approachable. Only the gods and the long-departed may appear perfect without inviting punishment. Perfection is a dangerous summons to the envious spirit of mankind. When you ascend to the pinnacle without blemish, you become a symbol that defies fate and the very limits of mortality. Jealousy requires no righteous cause. It is born solely from the stark comparison between your fortune and the lesser fortune of others. Those who appear too brilliant, too talented, or too blessed by chance are seen as untouchable, cold, and possibly arrogant. The silent adversaries, those who smile before your face yet pray for your collapse in silence, are the inevitable product of this unnecessary perfection. To secure yourself, subtly reveal a small crack in the facade of your power. This is not true weakness, but a strategic concession, a humorous personal habit, a trivial preference, or a past foolish error. Flaws that do not harm your position will soothe the sense of injury felt by the less fortunate, causing them to feel, after all, he is but a man. Remember this distinction. If you are human, you may be forgiven. If you are divine, you will be crucified. Edict XLVII. Do not press beyond the defined limit of victory. The core teaching of this law is this: learn the discipline of the halt. The moment of triumph is often the most dangerous. In the intoxication of success, pride and arrogance may drive you past the initial objective you defined. When you venture too far, you create more enemies than you have vanquished. Do not let success cloud your judgment. There is no substitute for discipline and careful planning. Set a distinct limit, and when that limit is achieved, cease all movement. Discipline is not only the virtue required when facing adversity, but it is the strongest armor against ruin in the hour of triumph. The spirit of victory carries the spirit of arrogance as its immutable shadow. In the moment of peak excitement, reason is often surrendered to emotion. The conqueror is easily seduced by the illusion that he can sweep further, seize more territory, or insult the defeated enemy just a little longer to satisfy his thirst for glory. Yet this action beyond the prescribed limit turns the subjugated foe into an eternal, hating enemy, or causes the neutral parties to become instantly wary and align against you. The original goal of the campaign must be regarded as a sacred boundary. If your objective was to seize Fortress A, then when Fortress A falls, you must halt the attack. To continue the pursuit of a fleeing army into the territory of a neighboring state transforms a single, limited triumph into an unnecessary total war. Know this truth: restraint in victory is the highest expression of power. To lay down the sword at the appointed moment compels respect for your moderation, rather than contempt for your avarice. Edict XLVII. Assume the invisibility of refusing all fixed form. The core teaching of this law is this: by adopting a visible shape or a clearly fixed plan, you expose yourself entirely to the enemy's attack. Rather than vesting yourself in a form the enemy can grasp, remain adaptable and ever-shifting. Accept the truth that nothing is certain and no rule is immutable. The best defense is to be fluid and invisible as water. Never stake your entire fate on stability or a lasting order. All things change. The common man seeks certainty. He demands to see plans and predict the actions of others, but the supreme strategist acts in opposition. They become unpredictable and indefinable. A rigid plan is a fortified wall, but it is also an easy target. The enemy needs only to discover the wall's weak point and concentrate their entire might upon it. Conversely, the mind that embraces formlessness cannot be encircled or taken by surprise. Their actions are in constant flux, forcing the adversary to guess, wasting their energy pursuing a shape that never remains. Study the flow of water. Water conforms to any vessel, can seep through the smallest crevice, and can transform into a devastating storm. Water has no fixed enemy, for it has no fixed shape. In the world of power, which is full of transmutation, adherence to a single doctrine or a perpetual alliance is an act of self-destruction. Constantly recreate yourself, continually shift your mode of operation. When the adversary believes they have understood your methods, change the entire strategy. Only when you fully accept the truth that all things are impermanent can you safeguard yourself from the trap of complacency and the clinging to an order that has passed. The true sovereign is not the one who builds the highest walls, but the one who can glide past every barrier like the unseen wind.